Call right now, folks, 877-989-2255. In these situations, the international pressure can build so quickly that we need to act as quickly as possible at the United Nations, because you don't know when the pressure will get too high in a ceasefire or attempt to ceasefire. So you've got to do everything you can right now, folks, to get behind these efforts. 877-989-2255 or ACLJ.org. Let's go back and take another phone call. Let's go to Tyrone calling from South Carolina on line 5. Tyrone, welcome to JSECULAW Live.
Hi, Tyrone.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I thought it's just interesting, the UN reaction. I think it just highlights the dilemma that Western governments face in regards to militant Islam that have such high populations, countries like France. And I think it just shows where the real battle is in terms of confronting this type of...
Well, here's what you've got. And some of this is coming from the Organization of the Islamic Conference, but what Nir just said, as an Israeli and as someone that served in the military there with distinction, the hypocrisy here is unbelievable, because his family, Nir's family, is having to run into shelters, as thousands of Israelis are having to do, at the very same time. And the reason they're having to run into shelters is Hamas is lobbing bombs into civilian targets. Now, Nir, you just said that some of the Hamas leadership is actually, I guess, in a hospital hiding. Is that the situation right now?
This is the situation. We have to remember that one of the first jobs of a country is to defend its citizens. We are defending our citizens. 1 million Israeli citizens are in the range of these attacks. The leaders of Hamas are hiding. They are not to be seen or to be heard. They are sending their civilians to be killed or to the front, and not anybody else. That's the difference between one culture and the other. One that value life and cherish life, and one that has no value to life of civilians.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to be taking a break. When we come back, more with Nir Nitzan, who's calling to us actually from Israel. More of your calls at 1-800-684-3110. A lot to talk about. We've got teams mobilized around the globe. I need you to stand with Israel right now, folks. Everyone that's listening to me, you go to your phones. Here's the number, 1-877-989-2255. If you want to stand with Israel, which we think is not an option here, and stand against what this UN National Security Resolution is talking about doing, 1-877-989-2255. You can also go to ACLJ.org. But you call the number now, 877-989-2255 to stand with Israel. On air, it's 1-800-684-3110. That's 800-684-3110. As you know, we just got back from Israel over the weekend. We still have teams deployed there. We are joined on the phone. If you've been watching the television broadcast the last 4 weeks, you've seen Nir Nitzan a lot on the broadcast. He led our students throughout Israel from Regent University. Last year, he and I have done other projects together, and I will tell you, go to the website at aclj.org. You can look at some of the footage. We're also editing right now, literally, as soon as we're done, going over to with our editors, footage that we shot actually in Israel. We also have a photo gallery up on aclj.org that has about 30 pictures now. And, Jordan, these were photos, live photos taken by our staff photographer during the actual engagement, both into Gaza and as rockets were falling on Sderot and on Ashkelon, where we were.
That's right. We landed in Israel. The airstrike had just begun. That was last Saturday that the airstrike had begun. And then, of course, the ground troops were going in as we were flying out of Israel. So, again, folks, these pictures, the television programs we're going to put together for you, I think are going to show better than what you've seen in U.S. news what it's like for the Israeli citizens to be under these rocket fires, these Qassam rockets and Katyusha rockets that are crudely fired without any real kind of aiming device. They basically point these at towns up to about 22 to 30 miles away, some much closer, and see where it hits. And even when the sirens go off, you're not able to tell exactly where they're going to go off. You don't know how close that rocket's going to hit next to you or whether it's going to sail over your head and into somebody's home. We visited the homes of people who have been hit by rockets just the night before to see what one of these rockets can do to a concrete wall that was built as a shelter. Folks, this is going to bring to light exactly what these Israeli civilians have been living under for the past 8 years, but the true escalation which has existed under the Hamas control of Gaza this past year.
You know, folks, the Bible passage, it says, I'll bless those that bless thee and curse those that curse thee, could not be coming more real than when you're in Israel, especially when you're seeing what the citizens are going through right now. I want to encourage every one of you, and I mean every single one of you that are listening to this broadcast right now, to go to your phones And we got to stop this UN resolution. That's number one. Number two, we need to show our proclamation of solidarity with Israel. The UN resolution, by the way, from the National Security Council, proposed primarily by the OIC countries, the Organization of the Islamic Conference, and they are, of course, condemning Israel, not even mentioning that Hamas is throwing rockets at civilians. So here's the number. You call right now, 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255. You can also sign up online at ACLJ.org. And by the way, at ACLJ.org, we also have the photo gallery up that you need to see exactly what we were going through. And you can also get updated information there as well.
Let's go right to the phones. Doug's calling from Virginia on line 3. Doug, welcome to Sekulow Live.
Hi, Doug.
Hey, guys. A comment and two very fast questions.
Sure.
My comment is this regarding the accusation of using disproportionate force as if this were some sort of Monopoly game where people get all the same pieces and start on go. So my first question is this. What is the origin of this assumption that warring factions are supposed to somehow fight proportionately? And secondly, what are the chances that Hezbollah will get involved in this?
Well, here, let me answer the proportionality question because that is a UN issue. The United Nations has, within their declarations of responsibilities and their universal declarations, they have this proportionality issue. But when your citizens are being attacked, you also have under Article 59 the right to defend yourself. And this is, as the President of the European Union said, this is Israel in a defensive action. So that's number one. Now, you bring up a good question about Iran, and I'm going to run this to Nir, is an expert in all of these areas, tremendous knowledge of the history of Israel, served as the Israeli Defense Force, a lieutenant colonel, still in the reserves, son serving right now defending Israel. What about the Iran issue in all of this, Nir? Because a lot of people are saying this is really a proxy, that Hamas is fighting a proxy war for Iran.
It is exactly what it is. All the weapons that the Palestinians have came from Iran. The Iranians are promoting this as much as they can. They are sending them to fight. The Iranians are actually trying to convince Hezbollah to get involved as well. The only reason Hezbollah has not involved yet is because they got a bloody nose last time they tried. True that they came out of this war 2 years ago waving a flag and said they won the war, but practically they lost a lot, and that's why they're not so eager to get into it right now. But everything that Hamas is using is arriving from Iran. And we got to remember, this is the result of a democratic election in the Gaza Strip. At the hospital of Israel, we have secured this election. This is what the Palestinians voted for. There is no innocent civilian in the Gaza Strip in these days. 85% of them voted Hamas. They got what they wanted, and this is who's leading them. Leading them hiding under hospitals and hiding behind civilians every time Israel is attacking or retaliating or actually keeping the safety and the peace of their civilians.
Yeah, this is, as I said, Article 59 says you're entitled to self-defense as a nation-state. That's exactly what's happening here. You can't allow your citizens to come under barrage. Nir, we appreciate your comments. We look forward to talking with you again, and we'll all be praying for Israel, for you, for your family, and especially for your son who's serving right now in Gaza. Thanks, Nir.
Thank you so much, Jay.